You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
We are TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heistlick and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats in rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. You awake to the knowledge that you never die. What is up, everyone? It's me, Frank Castle, your Sorcerer Supreme, right here, Saturday nights, the greatest Saturday night in talk radio, hands down. I'm sitting here with my etherical translator and my special guest for tonight's show. But before we go any further, because it's been such an awesome year, I want to end it on a shout out right now. Chris and Cherie, we love you guys so much, and we would not be here doing this if it wasn't for you guys. Thank you so much, and we're hyper grateful. If you like any of the music you hear tonight, HEISTCLICK. And if you want to check out the new website, wearefearless.com. We have tons of artists with their awesome designs and their renditions of what they saw on the ayahuasca or DMT or what they heard from me, and they decided to design themselves. 50% of all the profits made go right to the artist. We're being fearless, and we're stepping into the future. And thank you guys so much for spending this last year with us.
Yes. We'd like to say thank you, and we'd like to say happy holidays and happy new year. And we're just very happy that you're all part of the Fearless family.
We are all here in this now together. And it has been, I'm sure, a trying year for everyone. Everyone has their rough spots and then their total wrecks. Don't worry, we're all in it together. I'm no different than you. And neither is my etherical translator. But what I'm really like to be thankful for this year is to actually have you here with me yet again for another wonderful, awesome, fearless year. And I don't know if I'd have been able to do this without you.
No, not at all. You can do it.
Paula's Demon Removal Service.
No,
what do you want?
Teasing.
Shout outs to everybody in the chat room. We love you guys so much. Thank you for taking this trip with us. Thank you for joining us on the Fearless journey. It's been some hell of a bumpy ride this year.
It has. This year in particular, you know, we were faced with a lot of obstacles this year. There was a lot of loss for a lot of the Fearless family this year. We want to acknowledge that as well.
We lost some of the Fearless tribe members themselves.
Yes, we did. And that's hard no matter how you look at it. But we have definitely grown as a family since the show began, and we've made so many friends and new family members along the way. And Frank and I just feel so blessed that we get we get this hour to talk about anything we really want to talk about, you know. And so much happens in the course of 1 week from one show to the next, that we really do have a lot of material to talk about. And we are going to start the YouTube conversations because there's just more information than we can
put out in a 1 hour show.
In a 1 hour show.
I know everybody's been begging me for 2 hours. The 2 hour show, I'd rather just be able to do it at my own leisure.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like that. I could do the 1 hour, no problem. I love being here with you. But
for scheduling purposes, we deal with people from all over the world. So it's just easier to run it on my own and then put it up. But I thank you all so much for being there and being part of this, knowing that the future's being built right as we're talking about it. And I said it a million times on the show. Oh, we are fearless. We're getting artists together. We're doing this. And it sounded like the snap of the finger it'd be done. But it takes time to build it.
It does take time. But what we envisioned, what we talked about when we first decided to do this show with Sergio's help has now come to fruition. I mean, I have the t-shirt too. I can't wait to put up a picture of it. It's actually in the wash. But as soon as I mean, we all got the gifts. We've all exchanged these we are fearless gifts. I mean, people have been wonderful and they've been putting their pictures on Facebook in the t-shirts and sweatshirts and for me it's beautiful because I got to see with my own eyes something that Frank and I talked about and Frank and I really wanted to happen. Now it did come to fruition and it is happening.
Long-term plans, short-term goals and midterm goals.
Yeah, really.
We've been
amazing.
hitting them. One of the things that I find amazing, right? Like we had a session today.
Yes, we did. Oh, do you want to do your disclaimer first?
Okay. How about this is the story? It's our story, and it's our story as a team. We're going to do this together, and we're going to go for it. And we're going to have some faith, and we're going to believe in each other, and we're going to show support, and we're going to love one another, and we're going to be kind, and we're going to kick ass when we need to kick ass, and that's just what we're going to do. How's that disclaimer? Oh, and find a shaman that you can trust, and go with love and the light.
You know what? No, let's talk about find a shaman you can trust. Let's talk about the phrase "be your own shaman." Let's bring that up for a minute.
Okay. Being your own shaman means a lot of things. And I know you've witnessed me becoming the shaman. There's many, many growing pains and mistakes that you can make along these paths. You have to remember that you're not only like the doctor, the advisor, the therapist, and this is for self. I mean, you have to learn how to love yourself, take care of yourself. You have to learn dosages. You have to learn that it's medicine and not just getting high and tripping out. And there's so many places to go with this, and there's so many pitfalls. There
are, and we have to always remember to be responsible as well. Being your own shaman is an amazing thing to do, but it takes work and it takes practice. And it takes a lot of research. And before anything should be done, it should be tested as much as possible first. And that's not always easy. Or contact someone who may have a piece of the answer as well. Don't
fly blind 100% in this and hear us go, be your own shaman, and then you just go out and do it. And don't take any of the precautions and the warnings.
Right. We also have to be responsible too.
This is
vigilance. You have to.
This is the height of responsibility for self. I mean, you want to dose yourself and put yourself into a realm, but at the same time you lose this. There's like these insane checkpoints, insanity checkpoints, right?
Yeah.
Like you start losing it and you're like, oh, I need a hug. I need a handshake. Somebody's got to say that they're there, or I might literally not come back. That's how far it goes.
Right.
Like I might not make it back. Now everybody makes it back. But you just can't throw yourself into the deep end of the pool and not leave yourself like a breadcrumb trail to come out of. Have a helping hand. Some people like to call them trip buddies. Have a friend watch you, because once you do this, it's going to unlock everyone else around you eventually, because you're going to become that beacon. And if you're tripping over your own feet every 5 minutes or tossing something out into left field that, one wrong interaction is death, right? Like that's it. Game over, man. Right. So you really, really have to be careful. Do your due diligence when it comes to reading up on this stuff and learning this stuff. Ask the questions. Ask the question.
And follow the guidelines. Those guidelines are there for a specific reason. Staying away from certain foods, staying away from certain drugs. There's a reason that those guidelines were put in place, because it is a chemical reaction that happens in your body at the time you drink.
And you can't stop it.
No, nothing can. Once you drink, that's it. You can't stop it. There's nothing you can do.
It's just the interaction now.
So you do have to be careful and follow the rules. That's all I'm going to say about that. I just want people to be safe, and I want people to.
We lost a lot of people this year. We even lost somebody this week, not to ayahuasca, but once again, opioids. And
we just want people to be very careful about what they're doing and treat the Aya. It is a plant medicine. And, I talk about this all the time, and I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, and I don't want to be the one, it's wonderful to blast off, and it's wonderful to see the colors and the beings and be in those realms. But you have to drink responsibly. You really do. You have to drink responsibly, and you have to treat this with the utmost respect.
The minute you don't throw it respect, it's going to throw no respect back at you.
And then you're going to be in a situation that you may not be able to handle. But with that being said, we did hold ceremony today. And
it turned out pretty epic.
A lovely, lovely person today who had a beautiful experience from beginning to end. And we were very grateful for that.
One of the things, it was funny, I explained to him that the original name that we had for ayahuasca back in the day was telepathy, because they didn't know what to call it. And they felt telepathy with the group of people when they were under. So the scientists.
And that happened today.
That happened so off the charts today. Now, I didn't take in the ceremony. I was just watching him, making sure he's okay. But something really interesting happened. You went in the room and closed the door, and he sat on the couch. And when you drink sometimes for your first time, you get stuck in this loop. You realize you're in a loop. Everything you've been doing, it's like you're chasing your own tail. You're running around in circles. All that comes to light during the experience. And you start to say stuff like, my mother loves me. She needs me. I need to fix my car, shovel the snow. I need to go call my pop. I need to take care of the dog. I need to be nicer to my bro. And then it restarts again. Right? I didn't do this. I need to be nice to my brother. My mother needs me. This goes on for hours. Right. So he was in that kind of thing. Not that exact one, but it's a loop. You wind up breaking the loop. You're in a circle. Right.
Yeah, it's
so
like a checklist almost. He was going down a checklist, and then he kept getting stuck and going through the checklist again.
He kept going, but it doesn't make sense. It's infinite. And then you'd hear him say, no, it makes absolute sense because you're going around. And I go, but don't get caught in the circle.
Right.
You're supposed to spiral up and out. Ask Ra. He was just on. Spiral out, right? That's
that's right.
If you're not spiraling, you're trapped in the circle, right? And inside the circle, the more things change, the more they stay the same. The more all right. So, okay, that's all going on the couch, and then you go in the other room. You're like, bye. You close the door, and I guess I heard the TV, so I couldn't tell what you were doing. The door was absolutely closed, and he looks over at the door, and he's going, Paula. Paula.
So very popular today.
Paula. And then he's like, hey, she's on the phone with her mother. No, your mother. And I'm like, my mother? And then he's like, then he starts going into the loop again. And then he goes, Paula. He goes, where did she go? And where's the cats? But, you're right there. And then this conversation starts, and I'm looking at him, and it looks like he's looking at you in the room.
Yeah.
So I get up and I go open the door, and I go, do you see what's going on in here? And she's on the phone.
I'm on the phone with Frank's mother. I'm telling Frank's mother everything's okay.
So now he's going, all right, so why is the music, as I'm about to tell you these key things, as I'm saying it, the beat drops and hits perfect, almost like I'm singing along with the song. How is that even possible? And I'm like, what do you mean? The notes are hitting perfectly as you're talking.
Yeah, this was a unique one. This was a good one today. This was just pure. I really felt like there was no major energy work that needed to be done. It was just basically like tying up loose ends and I would say it was like tying up loose ends and
getting you stuck, like your tire's spinning in the mud.
Yeah.
And then you get the tire out of it.
And then he got everything going. And it was just it was like an innocent, heartfelt, it was a very loving experience that he went through today, our friend.
Well, it was just amazing. He wouldn't let me out of his sight, and then he kept screaming for you, but then he was having conversations. And I kept saying, Paula's probably in the room with us because she's laying down inside. She's in here. And I kept trying to say, she's pretty potent with her stuff. And he goes, oh, I know. He ran into the bathroom and he started screaming in the mirror. I thought he was yelling, like, do something crazy. And he started going, no, it's true. You are the light. And I was like, oh, he's breaking through in the bathroom. He was staring in the mirror, jumping up and down like a little kid. And I'm like, you see it then? And he goes, I see it. He's like, you're it. I'm it. She's it. We're it. And I'm like, oh, it's going down.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing today.
It was funny. He kept worrying about one of the cats got out. And he kept going, what about that cat outside? Now, mind you, he didn't get up off the couch. He just heard what we were doing. And halfway through his ceremony, he's like, "Oh, but that cat outside."
I know. I felt
what is wrong with that cat? Why wouldn't he want to be in the warm house? And then back into the
into the experience.
And I'm
like,
wow.
He was very lucid. And so prior to the experience, Frank and I had the day Squeak passed away, and those who listen to the show, you know who Squeak is. Squeak is Frank's cat. He has recently passed away. But the morning that we had to go to bring Squeak to put him down, this cat appeared in our yard. And
I was crying, and the cat
short,
jumped into my lap and started licking my face.
Right.
And I couldn't believe what was happening.
So now we
out of all the things, that's the thing that gets you.
Yeah, out of all the things that were happening, meanwhile, leading up to Squeak passing, it was a rough week for us. It was a rough week for the cat. It was a rough week for the family. So Frank is, we're getting ready to go, and here comes this cat. So, of course, now we have to delay everything because we have to put food out for the cat. We're worried about where this cat came from. It turns out this cat is supposed to be part of this FearLess family. So now we get the cat in, and the cat leaves. And then we brought the cat in again, and the cat leaves. So now this third time that we brought the cat in, the weather is really cold here. We're in New York. It snowed a couple of inches today. The cat got out yesterday morning. He had been in for a few days, and yesterday morning he couldn't take it. He wanted to go. So the rule is, if you really don't want to stay, you don't have to. You can go. And now we were banking on the fact that, oh, don't worry, Frank, the weather's getting colder.
And he'll come right back.
It's going to snow. He's going to come right back. Meanwhile, it's snowing, and we see this cat sitting under a car in the street.
Shaking and shivering.
And Frank and I are
I'm like, come here, Sherman, buddy. And
terrible.
then he whacks my hand away like, get out of here.
Yeah, so now this poor guy is here, and we're outside and in the snow and shaking food and trying to get these cats in the house because it's cold, and they want to be outside.
Well, it's funny. I said to him, you should be connecting telepathically to the cat now. And he goes, oh, I've been doing that quietly the whole time.
Oh, yeah, but this cat does not want to be inside. So now, of course, my feelings are terribly hurt that this cat would rather be freezing outside than in my home where there's a throw blanket on anything you touch or sit on. There's a soft, cushy blanket.
So let me ask you, because you're into this cat story, but how long have you had this ability with animals? Because you seem to be service to others through animals.
They're my babies, always. I've been rescuing, my family and I, we've been rescuing most of my life. And as soon as I could pay, as soon as I had a job and I could pay for things, I was rescuing and neutering and spaying because Animals love you unconditionally. People, and many of our FearLess family, we know this. People hurt other people. People do things that are mean and cruel. And animals leave all of that behind. They get angry for the moment, and then they're able to move on and just continue.
Now,
with
what
their
is,
lives.
And I'm just going to ask you, just asking you. Now, I know you already know the answers, but do you think they they sense or know what's happening around us when it comes to like, I want to just call it the ayahuasca DMT realms, but we know that's frequency and vibrations.
Absolutely. It's frequency. And we were talking about that today. Frequency and vibration. We all vibrate and we all pick up a different frequency. So we're all vibrating at a different frequency. And that's how we find each other. We find things that we like about other people, things that we don't like about other people. It's what draws us and repels
the
us.
Great attractor and the great repellent.
To people. But animals, it's unconditional love, and I had a friend, and I tried to explain this to a very dear friend of mine. If you want to know and experience love unconditionally, get a pet. When you have something to take care of, something that's depending on you to stay alive, there's a big responsibility there, and a bond forms, and this love is created and forged and grows every day. When I met you, I've spoken about this many times. I never took a psychedelic. I never did any drugs at all. I used to drink occasionally, like I was a wine with dinner kind of girl. That was pretty much it. I had no exposure to any of this. So, when I drank Aya, I was, I put my protection up in my home, and I put my protection up for my animals because I didn't know how this was going to impact my animals. But I saw my Oscar on the other side. I see him all the time now. I don't drink regularly. I don't do psychedelics. The last time we drank was for the eclipse in August this summer. And I don't see drinking in my future anytime soon unless I really need to, I feel I really need to work on something, or I need to
When I
fix
first
something.
met you, one of the things that appeared around you all different times, and I will say in layers of density, because it didn't make sense otherwise, or starting at your feet being a lower density, touching the ground, and then going to the crown being in a higher density. The spiral that goes around Paula on each level and layer had cats.
Yeah, cats always
hanging
cats.
all
know
like
why.
not on her, like living there for real. And I was like, because I called you Snow White a bunch of times because I didn't understand what I was seeing. She would just talk to the animals, and everybody would listen. I've never seen this before, not to this degree, right? It was almost like if you would have had it on film a bunch of times and made a bunch of cool little clips, people would think there's something weird happening. I go outside and I meet people sometimes right out front, and the cats will follow me, and they're all over the place, and then they just start showing up one at a time next to me. It's like they're checking on me and waiting for me, and people will go, "Are those your cats?" And then I'll go, "Yeah." Everyone get in the house,
but not
and
really,
everyone goes back into the yard. But that's like a cheap experience compared to what you go through. But when I was looking at you under ayahuasca, I guess any of the animals you've rescued or lived with or had or saved or any of that lineage seemed to be right there.
That was the wild part for me, because I didn't know what to expect. I had nothing really to base it on. I didn't want to watch YouTube videos before my very first experience, because I didn't want it to change my opinion on things. Like if I saw something I didn't like, or if I heard someone say something that I didn't agree with, I wanted to go in as clean to the experience that I could. I wanted to go in and really make it my own experience. And one of the first things that happened was I heard the bees buzzing, which I still don't understand. I still don't understand what that was.
I think the bee buzzing is the artificial construct layer that we move through.
I think it may be right. And I saw that big big lion that came, and I was recognizing the animals that I saw in my first experience. I was recognizing them as my own animals. But I have been I've done past life regressions, and I've always gone to see psychics, and they said the same thing about my past life, that there were animals involved. I was definitely a healer, and in most lives that I can remember from being regressed, there were animals involved.
So there were always animals.
Always animals, and always cats.
So
and always the same cat. Like I saw.
Yes.
Yeah. I like you know, Squeak has been with you for several lives. My mama that passed away, she was with me, and Oscar is my I think Oscar is my protector on the other side, because every time I go under and he's around, his etheric self is beautiful. His head is the size of a panda. Like his head and his body, he looks like a gigantic panda, fluffy bunny pussycat baby. Like I can't explain it any better than that. He looks like himself, the best version of himself, but larger than life.
Anyone that's been here knows that, like, they won't see the cats for a little bit, and then Paula will walk out, and then it's like a train of animals.
They all come out.
I make jokes. Reminds me of the guys from Beer Fest when they were beating the guy up. The German guys were beating up their cousins from America, and their grandfather comes out. And then they're beating him up, and then he goes, "Oh, look, it's Grandpapa. Oh, hello, Grandpapa." And he runs over and hugs his grandfather while he was beating the guy up.
Not so tough now.
I go, that's the murderer right there, Oscar, just trampling around the house. But you have this weird, it's a connection to them. It's like there's like a gnosis to the animals, because
I don't understand.
One of the things, when I first started this with you, I was animal-less.
Oh, yeah, you were
right?
like anti...
Oh, I was in fear of animals because I didn't know.
Anti-animal.
Right? But one of the things I found out is that the animals are so important because, like, if you want to be loved, you get a dog. If you want to give love, you get a cat. There's so much truth to this, right? But then now have a cat with you during an ayahuasca experience that you love very much, and you grab the cat, or the cat sits with you, and you're under, and you see with the cat, and you go, "Oh, that's what you can see that," and the cat is agreeing with you.
Yes.
Now, then the gnosis go. All right.
You're listening to the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
Am I awake or is this a dream? It's a dream. A fantasy of where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world.
What's up, everybody? We're back. Frank Castle, Sorcerer Supreme, a Saturday night. I'm here with Paula Milo, my etherical translator. All right, so check it out. You guys know I was afraid of everything. I was fearful of a lot of things. You'd look at me and go, "He ain't afraid of nothing." And I go, "No, I'm scared of everything. It's just once I start learning, because I was ignorant to so much. I still am. And, you know, we fear what we don't understand. I tell the stories of how the deer just walked up to me and probably just wanted to pet me or lick me or something. And I threw my coffee in the air and screamed like a girl. And then the first thing they said to me under ayahuasca was, "Oh, and you want to see aliens? You want them to come in and pick you up in a UFO? Is that what you really want? Tell me, you want that, or do you want the deer to come back?" And I'm like, "Yo, that was frightening. Stop making fun of me." And they go, "What are you going to do when the little bulbous-headed character with the bug eyes walks up and wants to shake your hand? You're going to throw your coffee up in the air and scream real loud again? Or are you going to run for your life? You're going to run off a cliff? You're going to faint? Right? We got to prepare you for this." And it's interesting because a lot of the beings that I've met, and I've met quite a few at this point, there are little fuzzy friends with more DNA turned on, standing way taller than us. Everybody has these exceptional traits that make them really exceptional in certain ways. And in other ways, I look at us and I go, well, for the little pink, soft characters that we are, we're potently powerful. Like, we're magic. Fearless family. It's us.
If you think you are, you are.
Yeah. Now check this out. We had this quick talk about Squeak when he passed, and they were explaining to me that we're trapped in the box and that attachments can't come with us out of the box. So when they were showing me Squeak, he was like sitting on this shelf next to me, and the top of the box I was in it was like this really crazy box, and the top opened, and I was out there, and I saw Paula and a bunch of other of the Fearless tribe looking in, and the silver cord that connects to like source or to God, whatever you want to say. It wasn't a silver cord. It was like this bronze. It looked like a kaleidoscope tube.
Mm-hmm.
It was really long, but it was invisible unless you paid attention, and it was stuck into the back of Squeak's head. And then when I wanted to get my attention and teach myself something about compassion and love, Squeak would just stare at me.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I love you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd come over and he'd touch my face and do all this stuff. And then I go, wait, whoa, time out. I said, you're telling me Squeak can't come out of the box because I'm Squeak? And he's like, well, don't think of it being 100% you, but yeah, it's pretty much you. And then we can just jump in and we teach each other lessons on love and compassion and stuff. But by learning those lessons, there's a reason for this. You unlock the dormant DNA inside of you.
Yep.
To work your way back to becoming that creator inside. Well, you are a creator, but
to know who you're supposed to be.
To be more you.
Yeah.
Right? So you like level up like in a video game.
Yep.
By doing these things. You know, and Chris Gio's right. When you follow the path too hardcore and strict, you fall into that, like the AI got you. It mimicked you out into this weird rabbit hole. You know, sometimes you got to walk in the light, right? And sometimes you got to step into the dark. And sometimes you got to be quiet while you're over there. And sometimes you got to be as bright as you can be. And sometimes you got to learn to just shut your mouth. And sometimes you got to pick up a stick and smack someone with it because they're going to do something horrible. Sometimes this is just how it is.
Right.
You don't walk around in a robe and just
for everything that could happen.
Right.
You do.
Right. That's the true raw consciousness.
But you do. But I think these animals help us with that.
The animals are us. We're all connected. They depend on us. You know, all right, this is what I mean by that too. You told me this, and let's see if it resonates back. Let the animal pick you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we let the animal pick us. And how do we know? Now, like we say you took me to a kennel right now, and you're like, Frank, let the animal choose you. How do we know the animal that runs up, because it's the animal that wants to be there, isn't actually you, just have been waiting there for you to go get him?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think they have their own souls, but...
No, they do.
I think
they do, but it's like
they're meant to find us as well. We're meant to find them. They're meant to find us. And I think that those relationships carry through years and lifetimes as well.
Yes. One of the things I was shown when I was in Source said to me, "You're me." And I said, "No, I'm not you." And he said, "Okay, look, you are me, but you're a little me, right? Like a piece of me.
Right.
So you're you, but you're also me.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do all the things I could do, everything I could do. You're connected to me, but you're still you."
Yep.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. One of the things they showed me is that some of these little furry friends of ours are that's us doing it for another being to have that.
Yep.
And it would have to start down, at the lower densities. And that shocked me. So I was like, so Squeak is his own being, but it's also me. It's a piece of me, and we're also connected, so it's me. This isn't easy. When they show this stuff, it blows my mind completely. When I say they, the last two times that was shown to me was from me and you over there. There was a couple other of the Fearless members that that have awoken and joined the journey this year, which really shocks me sometimes. It makes me wonder why others aren't there, but yet you guys are there. And but it doesn't, because we're soul family. We're all connected, and we're spinning back up into the spiral. We're coming out of just the circle that's drawn on the table, and now it's becoming this spiral staircase coming up again.
Yep.
And I think the animals are a way to help break that, because what do? Service to others, live in, like, there's this love and compassion and everything. Like when you walk around here, and if anyone notices, oh, you got a lot of green around the house. How do you keep it like that in this weirdo temperatured apartment? Well, you're going to have to ask Paula, because everything she touched does this.
Oh,
so the animals are healthy. The plants are healthy.
Yeah. No,
right? So I'm the crazy DMT ayahuasca guy. You're the etherical translator. So you're already doing it. When I met you, you were like, oh yeah, this is already going on. I had no clue. I was just being shown stuff under ayahuasca, and I was telling you like, yo, this is what they showed me. And you already had a total knowledge of that stuff.
Yep.
And I'm looking at you like, am I like the last one in the game here?
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's an understanding. It's the way you receive your information. Like we have friends, Gina. She calls it a download. Like it's the manner in which we receive information. We all receive it differently and at different times to explain different things. It's just the way it is. But you were lucky because you met a fellow weirdo that you could talk about this stuff with, and it turned into a lifestyle for us.
Which leads me to my next question I was going to ask you. What is that like? Going from Paula Milo to the etherical translator? Like,
yeah, well,
you never looked at me weird.
Nope. No, you said that to me. You said, I never questioned you.
No, you're the only one that looked me right in the eyes and said, of course.
And you're the only one that believed me because it's all true.
When I got back here, when I tell you guys, I lost everyone. Everyone thought I was a weirdo. And I'm like, yo, I'm at the top of my game, but I'm crushed. And now I have this awesome information and I'm healing myself and I'm trying all these, and I found it. And I'm like, hey, look what I found. And they're like, yo, shut up. Nobody cares, you weirdo. What did they break in you? What happened to you? No more drugs for that guy. I'm like, oh, this has nothing to do with drugs. But then how do you tell people? I'm like, you're a chemical reaction. Everything in your body is alchemy. I'm going to put this in my mouth. It's going to go into my belly. It's going to transform through this process. It's going to give me proteins and strengths and this and that. It's going to make my body do things. It's going to give me life. You know, I'm looking at you now and I'm like, how did you not just be mind blown from this whole process? I am. I really am. I never healed anyone before I met you. I mean, I did a healing on the cat and she had IBD and I ended up with diarrhea for a week the first time I tried it. You know, I mean, I knew I could do some stuff like that, but I didn't really know how. I wasn't trained by anybody. And, you know, but I knew I could send my energy through my hands, and I knew if I could send my energy, I can give you my love. And sometimes that's all people need. And, you know, like I said it to Frank, this show is proof, and the website is proof, and our friends, FearLess family and friends are proof that we took nothing and turned it into something, a lifestyle for us. It's a lifestyle. It's a community, a lifestyle. It's an intention that you set forth with your mind to understand that you, as the creator, have nothing to fear. You're here to create and live in bliss.
Like, you know, Frank jokes, but he really was. He was afraid of everything. Like,
I
sharks,
wouldn't put a nail in the wall.
Like,
forget about sharks.
Frank, we live by the 5 trade in the Bronx. You don't have to worry. There will never be a time when we're going to walk out of the apartment.
You know, that's funny. When I was under Aya, they grabbed me and they said, all right, they showed me this crazy looking monster shark. And I said, oh, that's cute. And I was grabbing its tooth. And they're like, you're not afraid of that, are you? And I'm like, why would I be afraid of that? I'm the creator. Then I went, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
That's and they were like,
Josh moment.
Whoa. And they were like, do you want to ride the shark? And I'm like, do I want to ride the shark? I can't stand sharks, but yes, I do want to ride. Right. And they were like, when was the last time you saw a shark? And I'm like, not really, never really, actually, ever. I saw it in Jaws. And I'm afraid of the water. They're like, you're made of water. How are you afraid of the water?
So what do you?
You're made of water.
What are you worried about?
You're water and electricity. Go ahead. What are you afraid of? Because I remember crying, I hate the water. They're like, how do you hate the water? We're in the superfluid right now. And I go, oh, and then I went, oh, I'm the all. Yeah, and then Oh, wait. Yeah. So the guy today, he goes, oh man, I wanted water and the water was on the table. And then he goes, but what the hell is water? And I go, well, you're the water. And he looked up at me. He goes, I am the water. And I'm like, okay. He had that. It's that moment of realization. This is the absolute truth. But you'll play with your pit bull. This is what they said to me. You play with your cousin's pit bull, Winnie, This dog was so big, and I would stick my head in its mouth. It would tackle me, and I would tackle her, and we would fight. We'd have so much fun. They're like, if that dog slipped one time, a body part might come off of you.
Yeah, you could be dead.
But that dog never slipped.
No, because you were experiencing love. But see, again, love is this thing.
I wouldn't go hug a shark, though.
That people think is so unattainable. And it's like you have the ability to give your love every day. And people choose not to. And that's your prerogative. Like, I tell Frank, like, I wake up happy every single morning because I was blessed with being able to wake up that day. So I wake up in a good mood every day. I mean, the world could be coming around me, but I really do. I'm blessed in the morning just to wake up, and Frank sees it differently than I do.
Listen, I've seen this woman, and let me tell you guys, she doesn't blink when I go, all right, it's not an attachment inside of me. It's being projected into me inside the room. She'll roll up and be like, all right, I don't know where you are, but you're not welcome here. And they don't care.
They laugh.
They laugh at me. They're like, oh, look, it's FearLess guy, whatever. And they just attack me all the time. This happens quite often. Not as much as it used to because I'm getting better. And then she walks out and they go, like, oh man. Yeah. And it's like, oh, the gig's up. And we make a joke about it, but you've seen me flop around the room. You've pulled things directly out of me. Just like you're saying, you sent love.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that love can push things out of people.
Yes.
So if you have an attachment.
Yes. Did I know this could happen? No, until I met Frank. But Frank, always has something.
You'd meet Paula and say, how that's the girl. I go, that girl right there would face off with the snake men and the reptilians standing right next to you. And what? Right? And then you like, really? And then you realize, like, the guy today was saying, like, how do you do this,
not
man?
Welcome to stay here.
Yeah, right. I go, start small, buddy.
Look.
Start with the AI and work your way out.
There are entities and beings around us all of the time, every minute of the day, whether you choose to believe that or not. They're just there. It's a fact. They're there. The dimensions are so close that, like, you could put your hand in front of your face and it's right there is something different. Now, sometimes these things bleed in or just peek in because they're interested in seeing human life. They don't want to be a part of it, but they want to witness human life because human life is very different than other life because we have free will. We can make choices at will to change our destiny every single moment of every single day. And that's a luxury because other entities do not have those options. So they do like to come in and witness human life. Now, with that being said, sometimes they don't all follow the rules and they want to interact with human life. And Frank is like a big receptacle.
A receptacle. Look at that. I like the way she just threw that one in there.
Of entities that love to inhabit human life. He's just like a sponge for it. It's like Frank is the kid that had to touch every button, like in the elevator. Like if you were in the elevator, a little Frankie, like Frankie would touch Frankie would hit the button for every floor and you would be in the elevator for 45 minutes. But that's Frank. So Frank is like that when he goes under and he goes to these other realms and he interacts with these other beings. He has to touch everything and he has to ask all these questions and know what everything is
I'll
about.
Say stuff like, hey, is that a cape?
Yeah, can I touch it?
I'll just touch it. No, don't touch me.
So these beings are attracted to Frank because they want to reach out and touch him and find out what he's about as well.
It's not that I just get attacked when entities. We're making a lot of fun of it, but you know what it is? It's a whirlwind at times around here. Meeting a lot of people, shaking a lot of hands, giving a lot of hugs to a lot of people, and people are desperate. Everyone's sick. Literally has the society disease.
Yeah,
right?
there are
the conditionings that we're breaking in, by the infinite amounts in my house. You go back outside, it's opposite of that.
Yeah.
What you were just doing. So it just jumps back on you.
And then Frank needs to be cleared a lot. So that's why I'm honing in on my craft, I guess.
This is how they get me, right? So we'll have like a steak dinner and the show is in 3 hours. and I'll take a nap after having like a piece of meat like that, and I'll go lay in bed. And by the time I start to wake up 40 minutes before the show starts, it's like I'm fighting for my body.
Yeah.
And I'm going, what the hell is going on? Why can't I just get back in my body? I took a nap. What's the big deal? I take a nap any other point at any other day. They're like, you ate a piece of meat, right? The meat wasn't from here. It was from this, and it had fear in it. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, and it's dead, and it's flesh. And then what do you think's attracting that thing that just jumped in you? And I'm like, what? And I'm fighting my way through my own body.
But I eat meat all the time, and that doesn't happen to me. It's because you're a weirdo. It's just
but you have other things, like you need to rest.
I do need to rest.
Right. So
all of the time.
So how do we know that part of the food value is not contributing to how much rest is necessary? And I'm not saying anything because I've seen you in the gym.
I know.
And you kick butt.
Thank you. I don't kick butt. I don't kick butt. But thank you. But I know the meat thing is bad, but I can't talk about it because
you have a natural.
I'm very nervous about giving up.
Okay, so let's not talk about that. You have a natural thing that most people don't. When I was under multiple times, I've seen this blue energy that's just around you. I've seen beings sit like nose to nose with you.
Yes.
And while you're watching TV, just like eating popcorn, this thing's trying to get your attention by being right in your face. And then I'll walk in and go, what is going on?
Yep.
And you're like, well, don't touch me.
They're
and
you're
allowed to like look.
Here.
You just can't touch.
Yes, you can observe. You can take part in this human lifestyle, but you're not allowed to touch, and you're not allowed to interfere.
To figure out, all right, so we've done a lot of entity removals together.
Yeah,
as well as you and me, us and other people as well.
I know.
So, and it's worked.
Yes.
And sometimes even I've done like what you do for me.
Oh,
I'll do for someone else.
No, but you've done it to me.
And
too.
I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've pulled, and I've talked about this on the show. I pulled an entity that was a reptilian out of one of our friends, and I didn't know what to do. It was stuck in my hand, remember? And then it jumped in my face, and I hadn't smoked. Everybody else, and you didn't smoke, right? You was like, I'm like, it's in my hand. You're like, I see it, and I'm going.
Yep.
Did anyone else notice that it jumped from the girl right into the palm, and then it started choking me?
Yes, it did.
And I was
looking
at my palm, and I could see that it's a reptilian. It was trapped there, and I go, "You need to leave." And then it went into my body. So I don't know how they do this, and then just was choking me. Okay, now at that point, I'm thinking I might die. Right now, Now I have zero background except that I've been telling you guys everything every week as the show goes. I tell you, look, this is what happened.
This is what happened.
Okay, so how did we figure out salt was necessary?
I don't know. I just said
stones like crystals. Where does that come from? That gnosis.
I don't know. I think it has something to do with me. Every time I go through a past life regression, I was a medicine woman. Every life, and I'm a pretty good healer in this life. I mean, I think I come up with my concoctions and things work. You know, I healed your hand that time you had that burn on your finger.
I had a blistering burn that just happened, and she walked in the room and didn't know it happened, and I was crying about it. And she took my hand, and then she goes, "Oh, let me see," and she put it in between the hands. She did something, and it looked so cute, and there was nothing on my hand. Nothing. There was a blister. There was nothing there. I was like, that's impossible. And you're like, what are you talking about? Everything that we've seen, that's what's bugging you?
That's impossible. That's impossible. If you believe it's true, it is true, good or bad, you know?
Well, I've learned, they taught me to watch you, right? So they're like, look, you want to learn how to do what she does? And I'm like, yeah, to me, she's just waving her hands in the air, right? And then they're like, look again. And then I started to see I started breaking open more and more. I could see the energy. So I'm like, how the hell is she doing that? And then they're like, you do that too.
But you just have to believe you can do it.
Right.
That's
well, at first I was just waving my hand around like a dummy.
I used to say this to Frank when we first met. You just have to believe it so, and it is. And he was like, nah, it can't be that easy. Nah. And he would argue with me all the time. And I was like, okay, do it your way because your way is not working. Why don't you just try it my way one time? Just try it one time. And then he did.
Which is basically the same thing ayahuasca's taught me, right?
Yeah.
It's like the same exact thing.
Just trust
have
it.
a little faith, trust and believe in yourself.
What did they tell you?
You're not failing. You're just learning how not to do it the next time. Like they're just like keep it positive.
So
man.
what if you fail? That's life. You're given
you
the
don't
opportunity to do it again.
Yeah. Like one of the big things, like even with Star Wars, Luke was complaining to Yoda, like, "Hey man, like I don't want to fail again." No, that's all he said. I don't want to fail again. He goes, "You're not a great master unless you failed."
Oh, I don't want. Oh, okay. I didn't
That's it. No, I'm not giving away nothing.
Okay.
And then he's like, you can't trust a guy that hasn't lost it a few times and then learned how to do it correctly.
Learned how to do
the
it. The
guy that's never suffered any kind of defeat, anything, if he ever suffers defeat, he's going to be off the table completely.
We were just talking about this today. I had everything. I had a Fortune 50 job. I just bought a home. I really thought I arrived. I had everything. But it wasn't until I met Frank that I realized what I was missing in my life, because I was happy with the way I was living my life. And my life did a complete 360. And I honestly cannot remember a time where I was more happy than I am right now. And it's a beautiful thing. I mean, our life is very strange and very weird, and stuff happens in this little apartment, and the lights flicker, and light bulbs fly across the room, and entities come running through the apartment, and there were reptilians walking through the living room, and, but it's
one day at a time.
Yeah, but it's a very interesting life. It keeps it.
My favorite thing of yours is, so what are we supposed to do now? Just like,
what do we do now?
Just like hang out and have coffee.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish watching the TV.
Yeah, we're gonna finish watching TV. We got the.
What are you gonna do? It's part of life now. We've opened this door and we've accepted that these realities exist. And now we're dealing with the consequences of the choices that we made.
They're all good, though.
Yeah.
And any ones that we feel that aren't, we just like, that doesn't really suit.
Yeah, that's not suiting us.
Yeah.
And then we would learn how to put our protection up, and, we can block the entities out if we need to. But it's definitely been a learning experience. And the show, I mean, we're closing out the second year. Is it the second year?
Yeah.
Yeah, almost the second year. And it's a beautiful thing. We have so many friends and Fearless family, and we love you all. We couldn't do it without you.
Well, we're all connected. That's what it is. And each one of us has a purpose and a position on the team, whatever. I still don't know 100% what mine is, but I'll tell you what, we're on that path together.
Oh, so salt, lots of salt. So tell them the story. So you had this entity in your hand.
Oh yeah,
and he was screaming.
So I ran my hand underwater because I didn't know what to do. So I was just running my hand underwater, and then they handed me salt.
The Himalayan salt.
The Himalayan pink salt.
And we poured it in his hand.
And let me tell you, my hand felt like it was on fire, but I held that salt. And I remember going, "Burn, you son of a bitch." Like, I was so happy. I threw up in the sink because it jumped out of my face. My nose started running. And I went, "Bah!" And one of the best feelings I had was, I'll burn my hand. I'm infinite, bitch. You're going down this time, not me. Feel the burn. But it worked. And then I gargled with salt water and then spit it out. And I was completely cleaned out. You knew how to do that, but that was fantastic. Well, time to step into the new year. Guys, let's do it together. Meditate, New Year's Eve, ball drops, everyone's chanting, let's go fearless at the same time.
Yes, happy